Thanks for streaming with us. The ever-expanding race for the White House is heating up in June of 2023. A couple of big-time Republican figures are expected to make it official next week. Sources tell ABC News that former Vice President Mike Pence, he'll give a kickoff speech in Iowa on Wednesday. His announcement pitting him against his former boss and current frontrunner, of course, former President Donald Trump.
And former New Jersey Governor Christie also planning to announce his GOP bid in New Hampshire on Tuesday. ABC News Deputy Political Director Averi Harper joining us now. All right, Averi, what are we learning about Pence's announcement? Let's start there. Trump voters, turned on him when he certified the 2020 election results. How does he plan to persuade them to come back to his side?
Right, so we expect the former vice president to launch his campaign with a speech in Iowa, and that will kick off his effort to campaign in all 99 counties of the early caucus state. And you're absolutely right. Listen, last time I was in Iowa, I spoke with Republican voters, and many of them laughed off the notion of a Pence candidacy, some calling him a traitor, some saying that he betrayed former President Donald Trump on January 6th. And so it is quite possible that diehard Trump voters are never going to look to Mike Pence as a viable candidate, and that's going to be an uphill battle for him as he tries to get this nomination.
So, Averi, now let's talk about Christie, our sometime colleague here at ABC News. We should disclose that, and certainly a friend. But when he ran in 2016 against Trump, he did not do very well. Many Republicans like him, many don't. What's he going to do differently to do better this time around?
Right. Well, he is in a very different place than he was during 2016. After he dropped out of the race, he was in Donald Trump's corner. Now he is vocally anti-Trump, and that's going to be a complicating factor for him as he enters this race. And I think it's quite interesting that he's going to launch his bid in New Hampshire, a state where he did very poorly in the primary there and dropped out shortly after.
So now you have Florida Governor Ron DeSantis also kicking off his campaign in Iowa. What's been his messaging, and how does he plan to distance himself from Trump? And is he doing a good job thus far?
Well, the Florida governor is really framing himself as someone who can accomplish the agenda items that are on the GOP voters' wish list. And so he's using some of what he's been able to accomplish in Florida. He's been pointing to his landslide victory in his reelection effort there. He's also been pointing to some of the legislation that they have been able to pass in Florida with that GOP supermajority. He's talking about some of the controversial legislation around things like diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, putting restrictions on the discussion of the LGBT community, of Black history. He's even been speaking and pointing to some of the legislation that they have been able to pass in Florida as it regards to migrants. And that's legislation that some advocates will call decidedly anti-immigrant. So he is really pointing to that. And that's something that is going to be very attractive for some GOP voters.
And he's come out slugging against Donald Trump, as have some of the other candidates, some more gently than the others. But that's really the game in this primary, isn't it? How do you peel off Republican voters, who still, if they're standing in the middle of Fifth Avenue and Trump shoots somebody, they'll stick with him? How are they going to basically de-Trumpify the Republican Party? Is it possible even?
Right, that is something that's going to be very difficult for some of these candidates. They have to navigate this environment in which this Republican Party, for many in this Republican Party, the support of and allegiance to former President Donald Trump is a litmus test of sorts. And Donald Trump really enjoys the fact that he far outpaces many of his Republican contenders in this race. And we've seen him come out and swing directly at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He has really taken most of Trump's ire at this point. And so it's still early. It's anyone's race, but we'll see what happens there.
All right, Averi Harper, thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.